Yes, good day, classy. Thank you so much for connecting and tuning into Metric Hub. I'm bringing to you today Communication N6. I just know that you are busy preparing for the final and working towards your employment, working towards your internships, working towards everything that can help you to go and get your diplomas. Today, I just brought to you the latest edition of how your exam would be like. This is communication paper 2, and I'm sure that you understand that it is a closed examination. It's a closed book examination where you don't need to use resources. Of course, maybe dictionaries, you might use them, but understand that a dictionary is not gonna help you that much. So it's a full paper. I'm going to present to you some notes, some illustrations, and the scope. So just please be patient. The paper might be a bit long, but just go through it because this is a typical paper that you're going to write next week on the 25th on Monday. So just share it and like as well as subscribe to the channel so then you can get any other extra supporting information in towards your studies. So without wasting any time, I'm just going to go through to uh, the paper. I'm sure the instructions N6 learners, you know very well what is expected of you. You have been answering exam papers, you have been answering you have been entering into various interviews, tests, and so forth. You know what needs to be done. You answer all questions. You read the instructions per questions carefully. Obviously, you should answer according to the numbering system that you have been. That is given in the paper. You start each section on a new page. Each section on a new page is very important, class. Each section on a new page, don't make mistakes for N6 learners. You need to know very well about that. You finish section A, section B must be starting on a new page. Numbers 5, use blue or black pen. I'm sure this one is quite often, it's quite known that you are quite mature enough. You know what you are supposed to do. And lastly, you need to be writing neatly and legibly. You must be writing neatly and legibly. So let's go to the question paper. The question saying graphically represent Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we are to remember and understand that we are under motivation, which you need to understand that Maslow's hierarchy of needs is a motivational theory in psychology. It is a motivational theory in psychology that are comprising a five-tier model. There's a five-tier model of human needs that are often depicted as hierarchical levels within a pyramid. So there is a pyramid that is used to explain this psychology. This theory in psychology, which is depicted as hierarchical levels within a pyramid. And one thing that you need to understand is that there are 5 levels of the hierarchy, which are physiological, safety, love, or belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. Still on that, I want you to understand that the the lower level needs, which we call the basic needs, for example, water, food, and safety, must be met first before the higher order needs can be fulfilled. And still, again, in regards to this theory, it has been noted that quite often few people are believed to reach the level of self-actualization, but we can all have moments of peak experiences. Moments of peak experiences people always or everyone have that time or that experience, but few people are believed to reach the level of self-actualization anyway. So the order of the levels is not completely fixed anyway. Sometimes other people, or in some cases, some people have got their self-esteem that could also outweigh love. Uh, while others may also have self-actualization despite poverty. Despite poverty, people might have self-actualization. So what I'm saying is that the order of the levels is not completely fixed. So that is what I'm saying, or that is how it is like. So this is the hierarchy. That is the so I want us just to see that it's a pyramid that is used to explain the 5 levels in human motivation. So I'm saying we have got level 1. So these levels, what is happening is that they are broad and they are many as we start from the physiological needs, which we are saying level 1. They are big and broad. So the physiological needs, we can give examples of that. We can say we need to understand examples in this case. We can say examples in this case, which I can give as e.g. We can talk about water. We can talk about food. We can talk about shelter, even also breathing or breathing. We are saying these are physiological needs to say they are physical needs that are needed for someone to survive. They are basic needs that need to be in place, which people would prefer to have first before they go to any other needs, before they go to any other expectations. So what I'm saying is that you need to understand that the Maslow's hierarchy of needs start with the physiological needs, which can be water, food to shelter, or breathing. We can also talk about even clothing. We can talk about sleep. Every person or everyone would need to sleep as just to rest. And then we have got second level, which is safety and security. Safety and security, it stems from what? We talk about safety, we talk about in terms of health, we can talk about in terms of employment. This can also be in terms of family and social ability. Family and social ability. It falls into this category, which I'm saying people need safety and security, even in terms of, let's say, their property. Property can also fall into that as an example. You buy your property, you would need to have safety and security. Investment into this, it requires safety and security. It needs you to be quite secured. So what I'm saying is the safety and security are the next level on the hierarchy, which we are saying that people would need safety and security either in workplace. When you're at workplace and then you don't know how promising is the position that you are given or the offer of employment that is available, people cannot be able to commit themselves. So commitment and full participation and involvement, as well as the motivation which can make a person to relax and be at his or a full potential. It comes from having safety and security. It can be even like in terms of family. I mean, social ability, as in relationships. It comes there as in terms of what you call uh, uh, family and stuff. So the trust that people would have in each other is quite a very important aspect in terms of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And then we have got number 3, which is love, belonging, and social motives. It is love, belonging, and social motives. This has to do. We are saying you need to understand that on love, belonging, or social motives, is according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we talk about friendship. It comes with friend. It comes on. I mean, we talk about friendship. We talk about intimacy. Intimacy. We can talk about sense of connection. sense of connection. All these are also factors that we are saying they are motivational factors. They are factors that can stimulate or that can retard the performance or the involvement or the productivity of a person. We have got number 4, which is esteem or ego. I'm saying esteem or ego needs. In that category, we talk about the issue to do with confidence. It has to come with confidence. We have to talk about the issue of respect of others, confidence or respect of others. We can talk about factors to do with achievement. Achievement, as well as we can also talk about the need of to be unique individual. The need to be a unique individual. To be unique. They need to be unique individual. We are saying they come under esteem or ego. Ego is to say the personal perception of a person, the personal respect, the personal uh, composure of a person. We are saying this has to do with confidence, respect of others, achievement. As to say it's esteem or the ego motives a person would need to achieve. As to say we are looking at the hierarchy of needs according to Maslow. And then lastly, I'm talking about, the last one which we need to talk about is what? Self-actualization. Self-actualization, it talks of, we are saying, the entertainment or the fulfillment of a person as an individual. So self-actualization, we need to look at morality. We look at morality. It talks of creativity. I'm saying people need to see the utilization of their full potential in a workplace, in an organization, or in any form of relationship. People would need to be given the space to be exploitative, to express themselves. So we are saying morality, creativity. It also need to talk. We also look in. We need to look in terms of acceptance. Acceptance. These are factors that we need to look at in terms of self-actualization. Even also the inner potential of a person, how a person's inner potential is being perceived. Inner potential of a person. Inner potential of a person. These are quite important factors. We are saying, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, these factors must be quite understandable. The need to experience purpose. The need to experience purpose, it falls under self-actualization. I'm saying, as we look into these factors, classing, you need to understand that human needs were arranged in a hierarchy with the physiological, which we are saying survival needs, at the bottom. And then the more creative and intellectually oriented self-actualization needs at the top. The self-actualization and creativity or or else we can talk about intellectual needs or oriented. They will be looked, they are the last things. So according to Maslow, he actually structured a hierarchy that is used to explain factors that might affect the performance, that might affect motivation and productivity of people as they relate. So this is the question, this is the answer. The question wanted you to to develop or to draw uh, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which you can show like this. It's a pyramid. Please understand that it is broader at the back, on the bottom, and they tend to be getting smaller as we go up the pyramid. So again, don't forget that we said it's not quite fixed, this pyramid. It is not quite confined, but it also has got its expectation, like people have got their expectations where they can find certain motivations or certain factors being more important than others. But this is how Maslow has presented it. Let's go to the next question. State four factors that determine and direct an individual's behavior. Four factors that determine and affect an individual's behavior. What are those four factors? Four factors that affect and determine and direct an individual's behavior. There is unconscious factors. There is unconscious factors, an individual's potential, how a person has got the capacity to do something, the the capabilities that an individual have will directly affect a person's behavior. Obviously, somebody who is quite experienced, who is quite flexible, who is also creative, who is versatile, we are saying can be able to be not confined, can be able to spread individuals' expectations. Expectations when you go into agreements, when we go into forms of every relationship or every form of environment, we are saying we have got certain expectations from whatever associations and relationships that arises. So therefore, we are saying that would directly affect a person's behavior. And then need or drive level, the need and drive level, there is the orientation of an individual to say how is he expecting would also define the person's behavior. Obviously, I can give an example where a person is having a high expectation. The level of commitment and the level of interaction can be more deeper, can be more relevant, and commitment will be high, unlike when a person does not have any expectation. We are saying the need or level, drive level, as well as incentive value of the goal. The incentive value of the goal, we are talking about the benefits that can be that a person is perceiving towards what is to be done or towards what is to be achieved. So the incentive is to say additional benefits that arises from achieving that goal in the value of the goal can also define the person's, can affect a person's behavior. So we are saying these are the four factors that can affect, the four factors that can determine and directly an individual's behavior, such as this one that I've given here. So we also have conflicting and contradicting motives, conflicting and also contradictory motives. We are saying a person's behavior can be affected by the contradiction or the differences that might arise from what is being given to him to pursue and what is he expecting. So personal, the contradiction that arises there or the conflict that might arise there, the level of difference is that these two environments and expectations are contradicting will directly affect a person's behavior. So those are some of the factors there. So we can go on and we are on question 1.3. State three ways in which the working environment can increase a person's morale and productivity. Three ways, we are saying three ways in which a person's working environment, the environment a person is working can increase people's morale. We are saying this is also like happiness and productivity, the rate per unit. We are saying output per unit that a person can provide. Give one example to substantiate each point. So we are saying one, the working area should be physically acceptable. The working area should be physically acceptable. We are talking about health and safety in this case, occupational health and safety. OHS, it's quite a very relevant factor where people will be working. It directly affects, we are saying, how does environment can increase a person's morale and productivity. So the health and safety of a person can directly or indirectly affect the productivity and also the morality of an individual. When the health and safety is not conducive enough, people cannot be able to provide their quite extensive commitment to their work to their work and behavior as well. So that is quite important. We can talk about the lighting. We can talk about factors as to say in terms of the work environment. I'm saying the health and safety is quite important factor there. Injuries, unsafe workplaces, people cannot be able to be fully to be at their full potential because they've got the fear of losing their lives or fear of injuries and so forth. The environment should not be stuffy. That is to do with the health and safety. We are saying stuffy. It must be clean. It must be in terms of the laying of the layup. It must be. I mean, it relates to issues to do with uh, the handling of instruments or equipment in the workplace. It must be clean enough. So, in terms of that, productivity can be retarded or can be reduced in a place where the environment, I mean, the environment is stuffy, it is actually scary, it's very unsafe. It affects the productivity of employees. The space should be big enough, that is space for expression, big enough. When people are working, they need to be having space that can enable them to express themselves freely. So the working area should be safe. It must be safe. The working area must be safe. They should be open electricity. They should not be open electric wires lying around. We are talking about health and safety again. This is safety in workplace. We are still talking about safety in workplace. It must be one key priority. If there are wires that are lying there, it keeps people being insecure. It keeps people being introspective and very afraid of many other things that might arise with regard to their welfare. There should be clear fire escape routes. It talk about the building, the layout of the facility in terms of where the people are working, escape routes in terms of fire, they must be clearly labeled. This can also be explained by signages. Signages, these are signs that must be put in place at workplace to direct people, to direct movement of people in and around the premises that they are working in. The working area should satisfy social needs. We identify that as to say these are the factors that can affect the lives of people working there. And then colleagues should be given the opportunity to socialize informally during and after work. Informal socialization or informal groups, they help people to share whatever is affecting them at workplace. So socialization at informal level can also help uh, to disseminate information and for people to to be free and flexible with regard to each other. That can also help to improve productivity because certain times formalities, when they are too high and too stringent, they affect the performance of employees and productivity at the same time is compromised. Uh, question 1.4. Question 1.4 is just one question that I'm saying you can just quickly, just because of time, I'm saying these are just what you call, it's just a very easy question for your question for N6 students to say that you need to make the concept in question what you call in section A to section B. So you are just choosing and identifying to say uh, what are these, what letter can confine or can fill into column A. So this one, I cannot dwell much on that. I want to go to long questions. I'm saying N6 students, this one you can just identify and relate to it in the exam with no problems. Load shedding is a big problem in South Africa. Some people are very frustrated and this can lead to aggression and even apathy towards this situation. When needs are not satisfied, it can lead to irrational coping behavior where people end up like showing signs of not thinking properly or taking the law into their hands. So irrational coping behavior will result when needs are not satisfied. So explain the following irrational coping behavior. Compensation. Compensation is setting an alternative goal for oneself if the original goal proves to be unattainable. I'm saying this is the first definition. Setting an alternative goal for oneself if the original goal proves to be unattainable. So what is expected of a person cannot be achieved. So a person can deviate and set his own alternative goal towards or with regard to what is happening. So we are saying that is compensation. It can also relate to trying to cope or handle the situation by setting another goal if the first goal cannot be attained. So we are saying failure to attain the first goal would result in people setting up their own expectations or setting up their own goals as a result of failure to achieve the main goal. So alternatively, people will drive towards whatever they think is the way out. So that is compensation. And then irrationalization. Irrationalization, what is it? It actually involves suppressing the real reasons for one's behavior. Irrationalization, suppressing the real reasons for one's behavior and presenting a seemingly logical and socially acceptable one instead. We are putting something else there to say that, a person's behavior, we are saying it is being suppressed and then we are saying, and then there is presentation of a seemingly logical and socially acceptable one. That is rationalization, trying to think around, trying to make reasoning into a situation. So suppressing the real reasons for one's behavior and then alternatively presenting a seemingly logical and socially acceptable one. That is rationalization. That is rationalization. Uh, let's go to the next question. I was saying that with regard to that, we can also understand that it can be subconsciously suppressing the real reasons of behavior and coming up with more acceptable one. So, in other ways, what I'm saying is that rationalization can be happening subconsciously, where I'm saying the suppression of the real reasons for the behavior and coming up with a more acceptable one. So, in terms of that, I'm saying these are various alternatives or explanations to what this is also explaining what rationalization. We are saying it all explains also what rationalization is to say it can happen subconsciously suppressing the real reasons for behavior and coming up with a more acceptable one. Therefore, that is what we can say in terms of what uh, rationalization. Section B, problem solving and decision making. I'm sure that you are quite sure that you know there is section B in our paper. We answer all questions in this paper, so we need to look at problem solving and decision making. Problem solving and decision making. So, question two. This one it has got some infographic. There is information or there is an addendum that is attached there, but I've just tried to synthesize it just to bring to you as a scope, just to bring you as scope. So what is happening here is that this is a direct English essay question which you must read and answer or respond to questions according to the provided article. The provided article or the article that is attached there or the addendum can actually relate or give you answers to the questions that are here. So you read the article that is given, don't answer according to your own thinking. Of course, there is application area, but I'm saying the first two questions is what is the problem that South Africans are experiencing mentioned in the article. So you are basically just reading the article that is there and then you give. This is just a specific English comprehension question. You read and answer from the question there. The South African government and ESCOM are seeking to end the problem. State the 7 steps to follow in general decision-making process. You see, this one I've given it because the question is saying, in general decision-making process, general decision-making process. This is not confined to the essay, but it's saying in general decision-making process, what are the 7 steps that should be made or that must be followed. So in terms of that, we need to decision-making is start with identify and define the problem. Identify and define the problem. That is the first step. You need to identify and define the problem. What is exactly the problem? And then clearly understand it. Formulate the exact problem in writing. The problem should be given in writing. Develop alternative solutions to it. You are giving suggestions or possible answers or solutions to the problem. Evaluate the alternative solutions. That is to judge and assess the alternative solutions that are being selected with regard to the problem, and then select the best alternative. Select the best alternative to the what? To the problem. Implement the selected alternative or decision. The best alternative or decision should be implemented, and then eventually evaluate and control the implemented decision. We are saying check to it how far the problem has been met, check to it how far the alternative is able to meet and satisfy what is the or satisfy the problem or answer and mitigate the problem that is given there. So these are the basic or these are the general 7 decision-making steps, general decision-making process steps. You need to know them. How do we make decisions? And then next question is saying name 4 factors that ESCOM should consider when defining a problem. We are saying defining a problem, you need to know the location, identify the location, where is the problem taking place, the timing, there is magnitude, as to say the depth of the problem, how serious or how deep is the problem, and then the Pareto principle also comes into play. So these are the 4 factors that should be considered when defining a problem. There must be, I'm saying, the 4 factors which must be followed are such as those. And then explain why there is an interdependence between problem solving and decision making. Why there is an interdependence between problem solving and what and decision making. There is a relationship. The fact or the two factors here, they are intertwined. Why is it like that? Why is it like that? That there is an interdependence between problem solving and decision making. So the point is that problem solving must be identified and formulated correctly before any appropriate decision can be made to solve it. So we are saying, why is there, the question wants you to, is saying, why is there a relationship between problem solving and decision making? Do we have that problem? Yes, we do have. And how is the decision to be made? So a problem solving must be identified and formulated correctly before an appropriate decision can be made to solve it. Can a decision or a series of decisions must be implemented to solve a specific problem. There is a decision or a series of decisions that must be implemented to address a specific problem. The two components, therefore, are completely related or they are completely intertwined. Decision making and problem solving. We are saying we cannot separate the two. When you are making a decision, you are making a decision to solve a problem. So these cannot be separated. Hence, I'm saying your question or the examiner wants you to understand that why should we not separate the two? How can we not distinguish the two? So I'm saying a series of decisions must be implemented to solve a specific problem. So therefore, we cannot separate that decision making and problem solving. And then next question is saying number 2.5. Number 2.5. Question 2.5, it wants you to explain how a person's frame of reference can influence the decision-making process. We are still on the topic of decision-making. Frame of reference can influence the decision-making process. So different frames of reference can be highly beneficial in problem-solving exercise because people bring different experiences, ideas, and solutions to the table. So we are saying A person's frame of reference can influence the decision-making process because different frames of reference can be highly beneficial in a problem-solving process because people bring different experiences, ideas, and solutions to the problem. So obviously, we say that experience is the best teacher. Whatever a person has gone through before can help him to navigate and get to get a solution to the other problem that he can meet in the near future. So previous experiences are always frames of references which can also influence decision making. How successful was the previous problem solved? Hence, it can also relate to the problems at the end at the current moment. So the frame of reference is very important. Where do you come from? What have happened before? How did you solve the problem? So all those are quite a lot of beneficial references and attachments that can come into in an exercise or problem solving, which can people bring in terms of solutions to whatever problems that they are facing. Okay, so you choose the correct word. You choose the correct word from the ones that are given in the brackets, and then we write only the answers here. So for me, I have just marked the right answer in red. The right answer is the one that is given in red there. So dash occurs when role play techniques are used to see if the solution being implemented will be successful. So it is simulation. Simulation occurs when role play techniques are used to see if the solution being implemented will be successful. So it is simulation class. Simulation is the one that is actually that occurs when role play techniques are used to see the solutions being implemented to be successful. And then the origin of a problem shows where it started. The origin, where does the problem started? It is the origin. Where the problem starts is the origin. Next question. Uh, when asking how urgent a matter is, we refer to timing of the problem. How urgent is the problem? How urgent is the matter? We refer to timing. We refer to timing of the problem. We refer to timing of the problem. And then reasoning is the ability to look at all factors and come to a logical decision. We are saying it is through reasoning that we are that it is where we have the ability to look at all factors and come to a logical reasoning. A proper uh, directional thinking or a specific decision-making process, it comes by what? By reasoning. That ability to reason and look at all factors and come to a logical decision is through reasoning. It is reasoning that can help in terms of that. So section B, you can also see that it's possible for you to get your 20 marks there. Section C, coping with conflict. Coping with conflict. Define the term functional conflict. Define the term functional conflict. Define the term functional conflict. It involves a mild level of conflict that is constructive in nature. Functional is mild level of conflict that is constructive in nature. That is constructive in nature and leads to healthier interpersonal relationships. We are saying healthier, very important one. Interpersonal relationships, improved performance, and also positive organizational results. So functional conflict, it's not that heated one. We are saying it's mild, which is constructive in nature. It results in healthier interpersonal relationships. It improves performance and also positive organizational results. Because in other ways, it is constructive conflict. It constructive criticism. So name each of the following types of conflict by writing only the answer to the question. Write the types of conflict. Conflict between members of competing organizations. This you need to understand that we are saying conflict between members of competing organizations is interorganizational. It is interorganizational conflict. And then conflict within individual. In a person, we are saying we have got conflict of ourselves. when decisions are made, a person can have within self conflict, which we are saying it is called intrapersonal. Intrapersonal, which is within yourself as a person, that is intrapersonal conflict. Intra means within a person or in oneself, and then conflict between two or more people, obviously that is now interpersonal. Inter means between two different orders, I mean two different boards or two different individuals. So it is interpersonal, that is two or more people involved. It is interpersonal. And then conflict between individuals within the same group, it is within groups, members within the same group. We can say intra-group conflict, or within groups, it is within groups, or intra-group. Intra means within the group itself, so it is within groups, or uh, intra-group competition. Degrees of conflict between different groups in an organization. Different groups in an organization is intergroup conflict. It is intergroup. So please note that these are the possible questions that you can meet or that you can get in your final question or in your final exam there. So tabulate three differences between functional and difunctional conflict. We are saying tabulate means you are draw a table, draw a table to show the differences, to show the differences. That is to tabulate. So I've drawn the table in the next, I've drawn the table there. Draw a table to show the difference between what? Between functional, we are saying between functional conflict and difunctional conflict. So that is what the question wants you to do. So by drawing a table, it means you have answered the first part of the question. Draw a table to show the difference between these. So functional conflict and difunctional conflict. So what I'm saying is it's mid-level conflict, functional conflict, and that is the first point. It is what is mid-level conflict. And then this one is ever-increasing level of conflict. That is one. And then two, functional conflict is constructive in nature. It is constructive. Remember, we said that functional conflict results in healthier workplace environment. It results in improved productivity. Hence, it is what? It is constructive. It is constructive. It is constructive. And then this one is destructive. It destroys the organization. It is destructive in nature. And then it leads to healthier personal relationships. Healthier personal relationships. It leads to healthier personal relationships. It leads to deteriorating interpersonal relationships. So saying interpersonal relationships can be destroyed. They lose weight. So number four, functional conflict improved performance. It results in what? Number four, it results in poor performance. That's difunctional conflict. It results in poor performance. And then lastly, number five, positive organizational results. Functional conflict results in positive organizational results. Positive organizational results. Then in difunctional conflict, it has to do with negative organizational results. Negative organizational results are experienced in what? In difunctional conflict. So when they say tabulate, you are supposed to give these in what? In a table form, which we are saying the points are quite straightforward, and what? They are quite straightforward, and you should be knowing that they are relevant to each other. They are contradicting each other. They must be corresponding. The answers must be corresponding. Yes. The following definition describe ways to cope with conflict. The following definitions give one word or a term, one word or a term for each of the following definitions. One word for each of the following definitions. Write only the answer next to the question numbers, as I've done here, as I've done there. A problem is deliberately ignored. We are saying describe the ways to cope with conflict. It is what when a problem is deliberately ignored, it's called what? Avoidance. We can call that avoidance, or it can be called what? Withdrawal or avoidance. Manage to suppress differences to achieve a more important common goal. Manage to suppress differences. Manage to suppress differences. Manage to suppress differences to achieve a more important common goal. It is subordination or competing or forcing. We are saying subordination is to make sure that people reporting to someone senior, they are what? They are able to submit, they are able to understand what is to be brought in. I mean, that is what is being brought on table. So we are saying manage to suppress difference to achieve more important common goals is called subordination. Subordination that is also presenting and supporting to the direction and order the senior or the leader or the manager is giving, which is also can be defined as coping, forcing or competing. An attempt is made to find a solution beneficial to all parties is cooperative. Number 3.43, an attempt made to find a solution beneficial to all parties, what we call that is cooperative. Find a solution beneficial to all parties is cooperative problem solving. Finding a solution beneficial to all parties is called cooperative problem solving. And then interpersonal behavior for the sake of harmonious relationships is choosing rather than one's own benefit. It's accommodation. Accommodation, meaning to say that interpersonal behavior for the sake of harmonious relationship, health, important working relationships is chosen rather than one's own benefit is accommodation. The requirement of each party concerned is partly satisfied. When people are to get to an agreement, we are saying it is agreement where the requirement of each party concerned is partly satisfied. It is what? The requirement. It is by agreement or compromising. You need to just compromise so as to say that both parties can be able to be partly satisfied. So we are saying that is agreement or compromise. 3.5, name two formal mechanisms to solve conflict in workplace. Formal. Name two. The question wants two formal mechanisms to solve conflict in workplace. In workplace, it is disciplinary action and also grievance procedure. Disciplinary action, when a problem arises, what action or how is the problem being solved? We have got a disciplinary committee or a disciplinary team that is set in an organization. So formal mechanism to solve conflict is through disciplinary action and also grievance procedure. The grievance procedure is that people's differences are fully attended to, given the chance to present and critique them constructively and as formal as it is necessary. So these are the formal procedures or mechanisms that can be done or that can be brought forward to solve conflict in workplace. Section D, coping with stress, is the last part of the paper, coping with stress. It is clear in the article on the addendum that South Africans are experiencing a lot of stress. A lot of stress is being experienced in South Africa by South Africans. So I'm saying, for revision's sake, I cannot, or I didn't attach the addendum there, but I'm just relating to the questions and then trying to answer them and apply the relevant answers as they are. I'm sure that N6 students, you are able to understand and move along with this presentation with no conflict and with no problems. So what is something stimulus called that causes stress? Something stimulus, something causing stress, what is it called? It's called what? A stressor. It's called a stressor. That is called stressor. Name the cause for stress in each of the following cases by writing only the answer next to the question number. Name the cause for stress. The cause for stress for each of the following cases. So having too little to do and not enough stimulation at work causes stress. We are saying too little to do and not enough stimulation at work. We are saying not enough stimulation at work, it causes stress. That is job underload. Job underload is the what? It is actually the cause for stress. When a person is not fully utilized, then a person can also have stress because of not being resourceful. So he remains or he results being redundant or obsolete. Then we are saying it is caused by job underload. Fighting with your friends, having a disagreement with a colleague, or having to work with incompetent and cooperative people. Incompetent and cooperative people could also result in job dissatisfaction. That is relationships at work. The cause of stress is relationships at work. When you work with people or colleagues who are incompetent and cooperative and resulting in job dissatisfaction, the cause of stress is what? Relationship at work. Relationships at work. People often blame themselves for the difficulties in society and degeneration of the economy. Which also causes stress. It is economic, political, and social stressors. They blame themselves, we are saying, for the social and whatever problems. So it is economic, it falls under economic, it is also political and social stressors. Social stressors, they can actually explain that. Stress illnesses among employees are often associated with uncertainty regarding their job description. Stress illnesses among employees are often associated with uncertainty regarding their job description. So it is raw in organization or raw conflict is the cause of stress. Illnesses among employees are often associated with uncertainty regarding their job description. So raw in the organization, what exactly a person is doing in the organization, not understanding to say, am I given the specific job description and am I able to meet those? So the cause of conflict is raw in the organization or a raw conflict. Excessive noise or heat, air pollution, or a cramped working space can create stress in the working environment. What is the cause of stress? Is what? Poor physical working conditions. Poor physical working conditions can be the cause of stress. Excessive noise, it can be heat, air pollution, or a cramped working space, which can create stress in working environment. It is caused by poor physical working conditions. And then write down two differences between eustress and distress. Differences, I've given them like this. I've put a lot of them, which is eustressors or eustress. We are saying, and distress. One motivates and focuses energy. It motivates and focuses energy. it causes anxiety or concern, distress. It causes anxiety and concern. Number two, it is seen as a positive force. Is seen as a positive force. It is seen as a positive force. Is seen as a negative force. Distress is seen as a negative force. That is number two. And then it stimulates the individual into finding life-changing and exciting options. Is number three, stimulates the individual into finding life-changing and exciting options. That is in terms of eustress. And then distress is accompanied by feelings of trauma and inability to cope. Accompanied by feelings of trauma and inability to cope, that a person cannot be able to move on, cannot be able to manage. So that the distress, it has got that trauma, that inability to cope with the situation. And then it helps the individual to perform at his or her best and improve job-related performance. And then it leads to an inability to concentrate, poor judgment, and loss of emotional control. That is number four in terms of distress. Poor judgment, loss of emotional control will result there. Lastly, last but not least, is perceived as a coping ability. Eustress is seen, is rated as a coping ability, is perceived as a coping ability, is perceived as a coping ability. We are saying it is a feeling of excitement. It is a feeling of excitement. It is unpleasant feeling. It is unpleasant feeling. Unpleasant feeling. It's a feeling of excitement, eustress. This one is unpleasant class. And then is not perceived as a coping ability. And then it is perceived as a coping ability. So those are the differences that you can see there. Two differences between the two. What are the differences between the two? The differences between the two, those are the differences. So you need to indicate whether the following statements are true or false by writing true or false, not to the question number. Constantly checking for cell phone or email for messages shows the physical effects of stress. Constant checking for cell phone or emails for messages shows physical effects of stress. That is false. That is false. A person who has got stress cannot constantly check for emails and messages. We are saying that is false. An easygoing person who steadily works on tasks has a personality, is an A personality. An easygoing person who steadily works on tasks is an A personality. That is false also. And then eustress causes anxiety or concern and is unpleasant feeling. That is, it does not cause anxiety. We are saying that is distress, which you are just coming from there. Sometimes these papers are just given answers within the question paper, which you might also just repeatedly answer. So eustress does not cause anxiety or concern and also unpleasant feeling, but it is distress. And then you are suffering from a too heavy workload when your employer places you in a position with no experience to do a job properly and you struggle to complete the tasks in time. That is true. When a person struggles to complete tasks, it is maybe they have too much heavy workload and then the person has no experience of doing the job properly. So deadlines are difficult to meet. That is true. Depression is a result of emotional stress, of emotional effects of stress. That is true also. And then that is total section D is 20 marks. Let's just finish the last section. Section E, interviews. 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 So you want to know that section E is interviews in your question 5. State 3 objectives of an employment interview. Why do people go through? So in these answers, you should choose any of the three. These answers, we should just get any of the three objectives of an employment interview. One, promote the image of the company. To promote that hiring image, how does the organization review or present itself? Establish whether the the interview is the most suitable applicant for the specific job. It's an evaluation to see the performance related functions of an employee if the person, the interviewee, can meet the specific job requirements. Establish whether the applicant fit for the organization also. If the applicant can fit into the organization, that's the importance of job interview. Gain information regarding the applicant over and above what is expected in his or her CV. We are saying interviewing is just to exploit deeper on the information given in the CV, provide information regarding the company's staff, services, and needs. During an interview, the interviewee can also be presented with relevant information regarding the organization, the services the organization offers or renders, as well as the staff, and then provide information regarding specific job, what the job entails, job requirements, job specification. It is also provisioned during an interview. Ensure that the interview is a good investment for the company's time. So hiring is not easy, so it is important to ensure that the interview is a good investment for the company's time. And then give one word for each of the following steps of questions. Give one word for each of the following steps, following types of questions. So therefore, we are saying this has to do with types of questions. Types of questions, types of questions. Types of questions. So we are saying, I do not like being left in the dark during load shedding. Do you also like, do you also like it? This is a reflective question. So we are saying you need to look into the different questions. We've got types of questions that you will see. I don't like being left in the dark during load shedding. Do you also like it? This is a reflective question where a person is giving his opinion to the situation. How old were you? How old were you when South Africa started experiencing load shedding? It's a specific question. How old were you when load shedding started in South Africa? This is a specific question. How old were you when South Africa started experiencing load shedding? It's a specific question. And then, why do you feel? Why do you feel that all South Africans should have electricity in their homes? It's an open-ended question. A person is giving his or her opinion, is giving his or her answer unguided. It's an open-ended question. Name two types of interviews that can be used. Types of interviews, two types of interviews. So I'm saying here it's just any of these. You should just choose any of these. I'm giving many of them, but yes, it's to, for revision sake, but in the exam, it wants two. It wants two. So we can have stress interview, we can have panel interview, the sequential or serialized interview, we can have the structured or situational interview, we can have same-structured or non-directive interview, and then we can have the structured and or non-directive interview also. Unstructured and non-directive interview. So you choose just any two types of interview. So take note that sometimes you might be asked to explain any two types of interviews in this case. Name each of the following types of radio and television interviews. Name types. Name each of the following types of radio or television interviews. This interview is very brief and should be restricted to one to 1 minute slot. It is what? It is the news interview. It is the news interview. Very brief and should be restricted to a 1 minute slot is the news interview. And then the interview forms part of an actuality program and feels part of a relatively long time slot. It is the in-depth interview. It's an in-depth interview. Feels part of a relatively larger time slot. And then these interviews usually fill a slot of about 3 minutes or a magazine or actuality program. The short, it is the short, short informative interview. It's short informative interview. And then each scenario below demonstrates a barrier that an applicant may experience during an employment interview. Barriers, challenges, hindrances that an employee, an applicant can experience during an interview. Give a word or a term for each of the following barriers. Write only the answer next to the question number. So after being asked a serious question, the applicant started giggling. The barrier is what? A psychological barrier. We are saying this is a psychological, it's a psychological, and then it was obvious to the interviewer that the interviewee who was in the wheelchair could not move freely around the building. It was obvious to the interviewer that the interviewee who was in the wheelchair could not move freely around the building. It's a physiological barrier. It's a physiological barrier. And then during the interview, the gardener started cutting the lawn outside. This is physical barrier. So it's either noise which was also disrupting the applicant or the interviewee. So during the interview, the gardener started cutting the lawn outside. Is physical. And then the applicant struggles to understand the questions asked. The applicant struggles to understand the questions asked. That can be a semantic. It can be a technical language, which we call semantic. So we have got that party, which is to say that you need to understand the types of barriers that are experienced during an employment interview. So these are basically barriers in communication. So as you can see, we are seeing semantic or technical barriers, languages that is maybe expressed within a specific profession. They can make people not to understand. So I'm saying, thank you so much for your time. Section C is 15 marks. And the whole paper, we are saying, I actually want you to understand that this is a full paper and all the best grand total is 100 marks. 100 marks. Thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the best and share the question paper, share to others. Let's like and let's pass together. There is too much space for all of us. Let's just share so therefore all of us we can go forward. Have a beautiful day and all the best in everything that is to come after and during your N6 exams. Thank you.